Originally called the Medfield Insane Asylum, Medfield State Hospital is a historic psychiatric facility in Medfield, Massachusetts. Built in the early 1890s, the hospital was the state's first facility that treated the criminally insane, as well as other patients with psychiatric issues. The asylum consisted of 25 buildings that sat on 425 acres of land with the intention of changing the public's perception of people with mental disorders, who were typically just locked away in state prisons. Medfield was to treat the patients in a more natural environment. In addition to the wards, there was the administration building and a church known as St. Jude's Chapel, both of which played pivotal background roles in the movie Shutter Island. While there were many patients that were locked away from society due to their legitimate mental health issues, there were also many patients at Medfield locked up that by today's standards would have never been hospitalized for these issues. For example, in 1896, intake records show 3 people were admitted because of financial troubles, 21 men and 3 women were admitted for masturbation, 21 men and 17 women were admitted for epilepsy, 3 people for having the flu, and 12 people for religious excitement. Patients were separated under 2 categories, either having physical or mental disabilities. With the standards for being admitted to an asylum in those days, it is no surprise that extreme overcrowding in these facilities were a huge issue. Eventually, the hospital reached its full capacity of 1,000 patients. The death rate at the time averaged 4 patients per week, which was well above the town's death rate. One of those patients, named William Spearing, died of shock from burns he received when he was put into a bathtub of scalding hot water. The attendant in charge was fired immediately, and Boston newspapers had claimed there was an attempted cover-up of the death.
The most dangerous and criminally insane patients were locked in wards C, E, and F. While these wards had a large amount of trained security personnel, violence still occurred. In one instance, in September of 1902, during a temporary absence of a hospital attendant, a violent murder occurred when a patient was strapped to their bed and violently attacked by another patient using a heavy iron polisher used to clean the floor. By the time the attendant returned, the patient had passed away. In another incident in 1916, Wesley Linton, one of the hospital's attendants, pleaded guilty to the assault, beating, and murder of a patient. He was sentenced to only 3 years in prison. In 1938, shock treatments began to be used for the first time at Medfield. 2 patients were also killed by being assaulted by Medfield employees, and there was an investigation by the state of Massachusetts in regards to the disappearance of a supply of narcotics. Finally, in the early 1960s, Congress passed a law that required all mental health patients in the United States be hospitalized in the least restrictive ways possible. During the 1970s, most patients were moved to the community halfway houses, and from then until the hospital's closing, the number of patients at Medfield continued to drop. The hospital closed its doors in 2003 and is no longer in operation. Although the hospital is now closed and gaining access to the inside of the building is prohibited, the property is still open to the public. The great influenza epidemic would hit worldwide, and due to the large number of deaths at Medfield, the town could no longer bury patients at Vine Lake Cemetery and requested the state of Massachusetts to create its own cemetery called the Medfield State Hospital Cemetery, located elsewhere on the property. Originally, the patients were not given headstones with their names, only numbers to identify them by, some of which not even having families to come pay their respects.
Medfield State Hospital is a spectacular piece of preserved history. These buildings not only hold the historical aspect of the land on which it's built, but also holds many human emotions including confusion, sadness, anger, and laughter from its patients, and some staff as well. Don't be surprised when visiting to feel these emotions firsthand, as there is much residual energy left over from the souls of Medfield. Residual energy is the energy remnants left in objects, places, or buildings by the people who came before us. This is usually caused by traumatic or emotional events in a human's life when the energy that is released from them is so strong it can remain to be felt for decades after their death, like a movie reel playing over and over again to an empty theater. And if the conditions are right, these remnants can be felt and seen in the present day. With all the events at Medfield State Hospital, some reported and some not, some good and some bad, there is no doubt that residual energy lingers on this property to this day.